Good afternoon. Welcome to the regular council meeting for October 24th, 2023. All public meetings are live streamed and recorded. Any written or verbal information provided may be included in our public documents as per Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act, FOIP 41. I'll get that right yet. So there we go. So call the meeting to order at 1:02. Looking at the agenda, adoption of the agenda or any errors or omissions or any additions. Seeing none, Deputy Reeve Lougheed will move the agenda. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of October 10th. Councillor Ratcliffe.
It's a small thing. I just noticed that in number 10 notices of motion that transportation has a typo.
Okay.
Not a big deal.
Okay.
Otherwise, I move that.
Oh, okay. So you will make the motion then, Councillor? Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. All right. It is now 1:03 and we are going into our public hearing. So I will call the meeting to order. And before we go into the outline, I will ask for introductions and I'll start on my right.
Good afternoon, I'm Sydney Graham, Councillor for Division 2.
Good afternoon, Reeve Lougheed, Councillor for Division 3.
Welcome, Jenny Melhoff, Councillor for Division 1 and Deputy Reeve.
Hello, Michelle Swanson, Reeve, and Councillor for Division 7.
Good afternoon, Jordan Northcott, Division 4, Councillor.
Good afternoon, Neil Ratcliffe, Division 5 Councillor.
Welcome, Brian Surma, Councillor for Division 6.
Good afternoon, Murray Hagan, Director of Corporate Services.
Good afternoon, Kim Gillum, Manager of Planning and Development.
Good afternoon, Rick Emmons, CEO.
Good afternoon, Mike Barnes.
And I'm Holly Bealey, Senior Development Officer.
Thank you. So I will outline the process to be used. So everyone present shall register. All persons wishing to speak shall be recognized by the chair. Every presenter, when told it is their turn, shall identify themselves and their organization, if any, and whether they are in favor of or opposed to the bylaw. If a presenter becomes repetitive, they may be limited by the chair. If a presenter or member of the audience becomes disrespectful, they may be asked to leave by the chair. No outside recording devices will be permitted. We ask that cell phones be turned off or put on silent mode, and breaks within the hearing will be called at the chairman's discretion. So firstly, the development officer will explain the background of the application, then the applicant will be invited to outline the reasons for the application. At any time, council members have the opportunity to ask questions. Keep on going, sorry. Any submissions received from other agencies will be then read out loud. Then anyone who is present and whom is in favor of the application will be asked to submit his or her application or presentation. Following this, comments will be requested from anyone who is opposed to the application, and then the applicant will have the last word and thus respond to any issues raised previously. So I'll turn it over to staff for the background report.
Thank you. So this is, Michael Benz has made application for a land use amendment within the Northeast 2136 of 6, located 1 mile north of Highway 54, west of the village of Caroline. The proposal is to redesignate 4.76 acres located in the northeast corner of the quarter section from the agricultural district to the country residential agricultural district as the third title from the quarter section. The remaining 148.10 acres of the quarter section will remain its current designation, being agricultural. The proposed 4.76 acre developed CRA parcel contains a residence, ancillary building, and services. The northeast corner of the proposal is described by the applicant as a natural drainage area, with the balance being relatively flat land with some tree coverage. Access to the proposal exists off of Range Road 6-3 adjacent to the east. The remainder of the quarter section is agricultural land with shelter belts running north-south in the eastern portion. Access exists off Township 36-4 adjacent to the north property boundary. There is a well site in the northwest corner and a residential parcel in the southeast corner of the quarter. The purpose of the land use amendment combined with subdivision application is to redesignate the land and create separate title to the existing yard site. Surrounding land uses are mainly agricultural with some residential. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicant plans to proceed with their subdivision application to create separate title. So I've included various policies from the 2023 MDP. I addressed the protection of water, groundwater, and the ecosystem just because we weren't sure what was in the northeast corner of that quarter section, but we've kind of resolved that. I've included subdivision development on agricultural land, talks about what we should address and evaluate in regards to the agricultural land, the quality of the land, operations in the area, the farmland assessment rating, and the availability of alternative locations. And it addresses seeking ways to limit infringements on the operation. For general residential development considerations, Clearwater County recognizes that residential development will be required to accommodate future growth. Also in that provision, we talk about what's required, so attributes for the site, for the residential use, the location and design, and mitigating strategies, so it doesn't impose on anybody else. It also talks about what shall be considered, so your legal and physical access, your developable area, sufficient space for your services, and a water table depth of 2 meters, and in accordance with the provincial regulations. For the subdivision of land, we talk about the variety of parcels in the area being considered. In regards to the number of permitted parcels in a quarter section that's designated agricultural, we talk about the number of titles that are allowed. So your first parcel, your balance of the quarter, and then there is a provision that allows for that third title. We are addressing the legal and physical access. And then we go in to talk about the locations of the parcels, so being on the lowest quality of ag land or the least cultivated land, and that it contains an existing site. We talk about roads and access, so ensuring that they're properly constructed and that they meet county standards and that they meet the required setback distances from roadways and intersections. And then we also address the water and wastewater services, ensuring that they meet provincial standards. And then we talk about what the county may require, and there's I know you guys are all familiar with it, but various studies, so your geotechnical report or your traffic impact assessment. It's also important when you're considering your redesignation that you evaluate what's on the surrounding lands. So taking into consideration the environment, scale and density, site, road requirements, and ways to mitigate these. Municipal reserves would be owing on this because it is the third title, so those would be taken in the form of cash in lieu in accordance with the Municipal Government Act. And then from Clearwater County's land use bylaw, we have this CRA district, which talks about its general purpose is to accommodate residential use with minor agricultural pursuit. And I've included the appropriate sizes, so that would be between your 4 and 7 acres for a developed site. And then I've also included from the Municipal Government Act matters related to subdivision development regulations. And again, it outlines what council shall consider when doing a subdivision, redesignation, or development. So for policy considerations, the redesignation is to allow for the residential subdivision being the 4.76 acres in size in the north corner of the quarter section, which complies with 623 of the MDP. The location limits infringements on surrounding agricultural operations, creating separate title to the existing residential site in the corner of the quarter section, which also complies with 10.2.9 and 10.2.10. It has existing access off 6.3 complying with 10.2.5 and meets the size and setback requirements for a CRA district in the land use bylaw as well as 10.2.4 in the municipal development plan. And it is the third title from the quarter section, so fully complying with 10.2.2. At the regular council meeting held on September 12th, council gave first reading to this bylaw and directed them to proceed with a public hearing. This hearing has been advertised in local newspapers and referral letters were circulated to adjacent landowners and agencies for comments. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does council have any questions for the development officer? Seeing none. Has there been any comments received from referral agencies?
We did receive some comments. Fortis had no concerns. Blue Mountain Power Co-op indicated that they would require a utility right-of-way for overhead power lines. TELUS had no objections. Ag Services had no comments or concerns. Assessment indicated that the assessment would go from farmland to a residential for the proposed site. Public Works Operations indicated that some upgrades would be required to their approach to the proposal. And Infrastructure indicated no objections, but they would require future acquisition of land agreement just for road riding purposes. The Municipal Planning Commission toured the property and reviewed the application on September 20th, and they favorably consider granting second and third reading.
Much. I would now invite the applicant to speak to your proposal and add any comments in support of your request and respond to any agency comments.
So I purchased the land from my uncle in the spring to try and keep the farm together. I live to the west, and we farmed the quarter for between grandparents and my dad and myself. We farmed that quarter for probably 70 plus years. Mm-hmm. So it was in my grandparents' name. And then my uncle took it over. He has went into a home, so it kind of got dropped on me a little bit. Didn't expect it, so been scrambling a little bit, but I'm not going to live in the place, so yeah, so I thought this was, everybody's looking for a home, so.
Very good. Asking the development officer, have you received any comments from any member of the public wishing to speak in favor of the application?
I haven't received any comments.
Were there any written submissions at all? No, sorry?
No comments.
None at
yet.
all. Okay, none were received. Were there any comments from any member of the public wishing to speak in opposition of the application?
None were received.
None were received. And again, if you have any other final remarks before I close the hearing, or no?
I'm not much of a public speaker.
That's fair. All right, I will now close the hearing, and no motions will be entertained at this time. Closed at 1:15. So moving on to the agenda at 5.1, in consideration of second and third readings of bylaw 1161-23. Turn it back over to Ms. Bealey.
So like I said, the purpose of this land use amendment is for the 4.76 acre residential parcel. In staff's opinion, it fully complies with the municipal development plan. There's a third title from a quarter section. Meets the provisions, so if council has any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we are asking that council consider granting second and third reading.
Thank you. Is there any discussions or entertain motions? Go ahead, Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. For me, this gives the ability for the applicant to continue farming the remainder of the property, which I think is the goal always when it comes to agricultural land, that it stays in production. And seeing that we did not have opposition on this particular application, and it fits within the size requirements of the preferred size for CRA parcels, I would make the motion for second reading.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion of second reading? Councillor Northcott.
Alrighty, thank you. In the development of the 2023 municipal development plan, there was surveys that were completed that showed close to 80% of the residents, the surveys that were completed showed that it wasn't supportive of the third title. There was open houses, there was a public hearing that didn't support the 2023 MDP. So to go back and look at those surveys, the open houses, the public hearing, I won't be supporting this application.
Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. I will be supporting this motion. There is no more agricultural land being taken up. It's an existing farm site, and I completely understand why you may not want to deal with renters and to simply dispose of this property. So for those reasons, I will be supporting this motion.
All right. Is there no more comments? Before I call the question for second reading, I will call the question. All those in favor? And those opposed? Carried. Motion, looking for a motion for third reading. Councillor Cermak.
Granting third reading of this bylaw 1163, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. 1161.
1161-23.
Yes. Okay, third reading. Any discussion on third reading? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. And being as how our next public hearing isn't until 1:45, we will continue to commence through our agenda and go to 6.1, the Parkland Regional Library 2024 budget. And I believe I would turn that, seeing as how Ag Services is not here, that's fine. We could continue on with, let's see, financial report. Oh, okay. CEO Emmons said he'll take the torch. Thank you. 6.1.
Thank you, Reeve Swanson. So this agenda is before council. The staff recommendation that council considers approving the proposed 2024 Parkland Regional Library budget. The background on this, created in 1959 as the first regional library system in Alberta, today Parkland Regional Library has a network of 48 public libraries across central Alberta. The PRL serves approximately 200,000 residents and is governed by its 64 municipal members, including Clearwater County. Attached to the proposed PRL budget for 2024, please note that there is a 43-cent increase to the municipal per capita requisition from the previous $8.75 to the proposed $9.18. In Parkland's membership agreement, it states that Parkland is to use the population estimates and projections supplied by the Office of Statistics and Information at Alberta Treasury Board and Finance, which is a population for Clearwater County as 12,099, according to the 2022 Statistics Canada. Therefore, the request for the 2024 using these statistics would be $111,068.82. The 2023 figure was representative of a population figure of 12,185 at $8.75 for a total of $106,618.75. The increase, therefore, for 2024 is $4,450. According to the PRL, the website, The return on investment in 2022 for Clearwater County was $1 to $4.28. To be in compliance with Clearwater County's agreement with the Parkland Library Board, Council's decision regarding the 2024 per capita requisition is required before the board meeting on November 16th, 2023. Based on Parkland's membership agreement, 2/3 of the member municipalities representing 2/3 of the population are necessary to approve the increase in the requisition.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. Within our borders, would this requisition cover the Village of Caroline, the Town of Rocky Mountain House, and the Nordegg Library? No other, those are the three? Okay, thank you.
Councillor Graham.
I'm of the belief that libraries are of the utmost importance. Not only do they supply books for people, they supply technological support. People can go there who are furthering their education to write exams. I think they're so valuable. So I will make the motion that council considers approving the proposed 2024 Parkland Regional Library budget.
Any further discussion? I will call the motion. Those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving along. Looking at, we can either, I'm looking to CEO Emmons, would you sooner go to 7.1 or 8.1? 8.1, we will carry on to 8.1, please. Council Remuneration Policy Review.
Thank you, Reeve Swanson. So the staff recommendation that council reviews, amends as required, and considers approval of council remuneration policy effective October 24th, 2023. Council's remuneration policy was last reviewed in 2020. A review of council's salary rate and per diem was reviewed by a consultant with information provided to council in May and September 2023 respectively. Council is at the 50th percentile and has directed administration to forward its policy to have similar wording to the employee compensation policy, which reads, the county will strive to establish pay comparisons at the 65th percentile of other similar sized municipalities and or comparative organizations. So this policy is attached for council's review. I will leave it for council's comments. If, with council's permission, I will add that as per previous conversations, Clearwater County being one of the largest municipalities in Alberta and in one of the best financial conditions and one of the most well-off, I absolutely feel this is very conservative on behalf of this organization to hold yourself down at the 65th. Because truly it could be, without a comparative, it could be much higher. And this allows a bar, a very conservative bar to go forward with. So that is my input, and I will turn it over to council.
Thank you. Any discussion in regards to this? Councillor Graham.
I just need some clarification on this. So because we get our salary and our hourly remuneration, is that the correct terminology? So are we at the 65th percentile of the salary and the remuneration? So if there is a municipality that only receives salary, are they included in that? And vice versa for hourly? Does that make sense?
It does. And the work that the administration went through was actually getting comparatives, so that blended. The ones that were done strictly on a salary based made it very difficult to compare. So we went to what made the most sense for our blended version.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure that it wasn't both, because then that would
Arbitrarily set up.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Councillor Ratcliffe?
Yeah, just in reading through this policy or the draft policy under definitions of what this includes the salary rate. My understanding is that meetings with ratepayers or constituents is also under salary, and it didn't mention that here.
Go ahead, Reeve, CO.
Thank you. So that is covered in the procedure attached to this, or that complements this policy.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so looking at Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. Thank you for going over everything so well, and thank you, Janice, for explaining everything very well a few weeks ago, and the supplementary documentation. I appreciate it. I would make the motion that council approves the remuneration policy Council-001 effective October 24th, 2023. I really liked that we included the municipal index of similar municipalities throughout this whole process. I feel that that's very important when we're making comparisons like this. So I would make that motion.
Any discussion on the motion? Deputy, Councillor Northcott.
No, I'll support this. And I think it could be a benefit to future residents that do decide to run for council, is that there is a, to go from the 50th percentile to the 65th percentile and offer. Sometimes it might be limiting with the amount of remuneration that is paid for residents to take the opportunity to be able to run for council. So I think this would hopefully allow for other residents the opportunity in future elections to be able to run. So I'll support this.
Councillor Ratcliffe.
For me, this is a difficult decision. I don't think that any of us do this for the money. But I also recognize that some councillors have to have other jobs to pay for the child care while they're attending these meetings. I guess I will reluctantly support the motion.
Councillor Graham.
I think I'm going to support this as well. For me, it's logical. It's in line with what the employees of Clearwater County receive, and we're still volunteering time though. It's not egregious. It's not overdoing it, in my opinion. And I believe that in these seats, there needs to be an element of volunteering so that you're getting the right people in these seats, not people just who want to do it for the money. And so I guess for those reasons, I'll support this.
Thank you. And I would concur with my fellow councillors. Sitting here is a labor of love for our community. And honestly, we want some compensation, but at the end of the day, we're doing it for the right reasons. And we want to allow equal opportunity for, I just say, I got to be careful here. I don't want to talk about ageism of seniors versus young millennials, but having the variety of perspectives on council makes for a strong council. So I will be supporting it as well. Any further discussion? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, moving along to 8.2, consideration of first, second, third reading of bylaw 1173-23 for the Amalgamation Committee. Turn that back over to CEO Emmons. And Tracy Hay.
That's you?
Ms. Hay?
Good afternoon, Council. Attached to this agenda item is a draft bylaw for the Joint Councils of the Whole Amalgamation Committee. This is a result of an informal workshop that both village councils and Clearwater County Council attended to start to discuss the next step in the amalgamation process, which is to begin discussions regarding negotiated items as mandated by the Municipal Government Act and Municipal Affairs. So the staff recommendation is that council grants first and second reading, unanimous consent to proceed with third reading, and then grants third reading of bylaw 1173 for the purpose of establishing the Clearwater County and Village of Caroline Council of the Whole Amalgamation Committee.
Thank you.
So did council wish to go through the draft bylaw and the Schedule A terms of reference attached? Or is there any suggested amendments from council for that bylaw and terms of reference?
I look to my fellow councillors. Councillor Graham.
I personally don't have any. I'm not seeing anyone popping up with questions, and I think we all went through it ahead of time here. So I would make the motion to grant first reading for bylaw 1173/23.
Any discussion on first reading? Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. Thank you for your work on this, for compiling what was can be a very difficult day, and I appreciate you being able to summarize it and come up with something so great. I will be supporting this. I've obviously been vocal and voted against previous amalgamation conversations. However, it was the will of council that we proceed forward with negotiation, and I believe that this is a solid move forward in that direction. So I'll be supporting first reading here today.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question for first reading. All those in favor? Carried. Motion for second? Okay, it would be Councillor Lougheed for second reading. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Motion for unanimous consent. Councillor Northcott. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Proceed to third reading. Motion. Councillor Cermak. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Oh, Ms. Haight.
Thank you. So now that has passed, that bylaw, there are two additional motions that, if I could, may ask council to consider. The first one is that they appoint all members of council to this committee, and the second is that they appoint the Reeve as alternate chair.
Alrighty. Could I get a motion, Councillor Graham?
I'll make a motion that we appoint all councillors to this committee.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, motion, Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I'll make the motion that we appoint the Reeve as alternating chair to this committee.
Okay, thank you. No discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Haight. I believe we already have made those, saved those dates in our calendar. Going to be a busy few months. All right. Looking ahead, actually, I'm looking across the room. Do you think we can jump to 7.1, the financial report for September 30th of 2023? I'll pass the mic over to Ms. Serhan, please.
Good afternoon. So before you today is the third quarter financial report for both operations and capital. First report attached is the capital projects, and they are broke down for the totals for each project, you'll see that there has been a lot accomplished so far in 2023, with this being what has been invoiced to September 30th. I believe the capital updates report is more current for the actual progress on those projects, but this is the financial portion of those projects. I don't know if there's any of them that you would wish to speak.
Question, Ms. Moran. What is the variance percentage usually that we're setting at this particular point in time?
It really varies depending on which projects are going forward. Capital is very hard to nail down to a percentage in the variance.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Han? Councillor Ratcliffe.
Just have a question about the River Road grading, as that was recently paved. I was just wondering, or is that all part of the same project? It's
I believe that's all
grading and
part of
paving?
the same project. It's grading and base pave for that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. Will we have the opportunity to ask more in-depth questions regarding broadband at next week's broadband meeting? We can dig deeper into it there. I just didn't know if it was appropriate for me to ask questions regarding it here.
Go ahead, Reeve.
Thank
Director
you, Reeve.
Hagan.
Yes, Deputy Reeve, we definitely will have that opportunity for the committee to ask questions.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Han? Go ahead.
If you
Councillor
will
Graham?
allow a motion, Reeve, I will make a motion that the council receives Clearwater County capital and operating financial reports as of September 30th, 2023 as presented.
Thank you. Councillor Ratcliffe.
I have a question. In the 129.092, the fiber to the landfill scale house, is that complete or is that just engineering? Did we get a good deal, or it hasn't been done yet?
Director Hagan.
Thank you, Reeve. I believe that project is complete, and that, just as a point of clarification, that project is outside the broadband project itself. This is a Clearwater County initiative to connect all of our building sites together.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we just got an amazing deal. Well done. Sorry, well done. That's a great place.
So we have a motion before us to approve and to accept it for information. Mr. Han.
Walk through the operations report.
Sure.
Just noting that some of the programs, of course, are partner programs that we get invoiced for at the end of the year, recreation services, and fire services that we bill at the end of the year for a percentage to our partners. At the end of the third quarter, you should be seeing about a 75% use of the budget, and we are below that. There has been many vacancies in positions for operations within Clearwater County in 2023, and that has really contributed to the lower actuals than what you're seeing to budget.
All right. Director Hagan.
Thank you, Reeve. Just wanted to provide a point of clarification. I was just informed that we are currently waiting some approvals still from the province to complete that project. So it is not complete, the fiber to the scale house yet.
Thank you.
That may carry over into next year depending on the weather as well. So far, or any materials that we might have bought.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, we have a motion to accept for information. I will call the question. All those in favor? Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I believe we're about 4 minutes away from our next public hearing. I'm wondering if, oh, sorry, Councillor, would you, okay, we will have a 5-minute break. All right, welcome back from our break. We are going to item 4.2. This is another public hearing for bylaw 1160/23. So I'll call the meeting to order at 1:48. I'll outline the process. Everyone present shall register. All persons wishing to speak shall be recognized by the chair. Every presenter, when told it is their turn, shall identify themselves and their organization, if any, and whether they are in favor of or opposed to the bylaw. If a presenter becomes repetitive, they may be limited to the chair. If a presenter or member of the audience becomes disrespectful, they may be asked to leave by the chair. No outside recording devices are permitted. We ask that cell phones be turned off or turned on silent mode, and breaks within the hearing will be called at the chairman's discretion. First, the development officer will explain the background of the application. Then the applicant will be invited to outline the reasons for the application. At any time, the council members have an opportunity to ask questions. Any submissions received from other agencies will be then read out loud. Then anyone who is present and whom is in favor of the application will be asked to submit his or her presentation. Following this, comments will be requested from anyone who is opposed to the application. The applicant will have the last word and thus respond to any issues raised previously. So before we turn it over to staff, I would like to take a moment to do introductions, starting on my right.
Good afternoon, I'm Sydney Graham, Councillor for Division 2.
Good afternoon, Darrell Lougheed, Councillor for Division 3.
Welcome, Jenny Malhoff, Division 1 Counselor and Deputy Reeve.
Good afternoon, Michelle Swanson, Division 7 Councillor in Reeve.
Good afternoon, Jordan Northcott, Division 4 Councillor.
Good afternoon, Val. Neil Ratcliffe, Councillor for Division 5.
Good afternoon, Brian Cermak, Councillor for Division 6.
Good afternoon, Kim Gillum, Manager, Planning and Development.
Good afternoon, Rick Emmons, CIO.
Amber Williams, Development Officer.
And Valerie Murray. I'm representing Phyllis Ironside, my mother.
Thank you. Excellent. So to start off, Amber Williams, Development Officer, will outline the background to this application.
Thank you, Reeve. Ironside Consulting Limited, owned by Phyllis Ironside, currently holds title to the southwest of 1538-7 west of the 5th Meridian, containing more or less 153.97 acres in the Agriculture District, and is located approximately 13 kilometers or 8 miles south of the town of Rocky Mountain House. Valerie Murray, on behalf of the landowner, is proposing to redesignate more or less 7 acres located in the northwest portion of the quarter section from the Agriculture District A to the Country Residence Agricultural District CRA. The more or less 146.97 acres of the balance of the quarter section would remain under the A district. The proposed 7-acre parcel is partially developed, containing a portion of the existing farmyard site with 2 shops, a Quonset, various ancillary buildings, and livestock shelters. The remainder of the quarter is developed with a residence, a shop, and various ancillary buildings and livestock shelters. Legal and physical access can be obtained to the proposed parcel and the remainder off Range Road 7-3, or the Everdale Road, adjacent to the west property boundary. The landowner currently resides on the subject property north of the proposed parcel. Her granddaughter and family own the first parcel out in the northeast corner of the quarter section. Access to the first parcel and additional access to the remainder of the quarter section is off Township Road 38-2, adjacent to the south property boundary. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicant, on behalf of the landowner, will proceed with an application to subdivide the 7-acre CRA parcel to create a separate title and become the third title within the quarter section. The proposed parcel before you today is for the landowner's grandson and family. The proposed land use and subsequent subdivision would provide the landowner and their family with the opportunity for multi-generational farming on these lands. Surrounding land uses are agriculture and residential, with the Everdale subdivision northwest of the subject property across the Everdale Road. The applicant had originally requested a rectangular shape and intended to remove the Quonset to meet the setback requirements of a CRA parcel. Upon further consultation, the proposed boundary on the north has slightly changed to accommodate the location and setback requirements of the Quonset. This also ensured that the setback requirements for other buildings on the proposed parcel as well as the remainder would be achieved. The proposed size of the parcel has not changed, and a map is enclosed for your reference. I'll give a brief description of what policies are included in the package. Please let me know if you would like further clarification or more detail on a particular policy. The Municipal Development Plan 2023 policies include Section 5.2.3, Subdivision and Development on Agricultural Land, and is regarding evaluating ag land. A farmland assessment map has been provided in this report. Section 5.2.4 speaks to limiting infringements on agricultural operations. Section 6 outlines the general residential considerations such as suitable site, location, compatibility within the area, access and services such as water and wastewater. Section 10 discusses subdivision of land providing opportunities for a variety of parcel sizes, location of a parcel within the quarter section, facilitating the creation of additional parcels to serve the needs of a growing population, legal and physical access, the number of parcels permitted, specifically Section 10.2.4, that allows for council to consider a second parcel or third title from a quarter section, and the maximum size of 7 acres for a residential parcel unless otherwise deemed necessary. Section 11 is regarding water and wastewater services. Section 14 outlines the considerations for the redesignation, subdivision, and development, such as the impacts on traffic, environment, water and wastewater, natural capital and agricultural land, adjacent land uses, and site suitability, to name a few. Section 14 discusses municipal reserves, which will be required for this parcel at the subdivision stage. The Land Use Bylaw 714/01 outlines the proposed land use district, Country Residence Agriculture, or CRA, which provides the permitted and discretionary uses, building requirements, and acceptable lot sizes. The Municipal Government Act, matters related to subdivision and development regulations, Section 9, outlines items to consider with respect to the land type, use, and impacts. Under planning considerations, as per MDP Section 10.2.4, a parcel that includes all or a portion of the existing farmstead and size may be up to 7 acres unless otherwise deemed necessary. The applicant has indicated that 7 acres are sufficient to continue to develop the property with a residence and farm the balance of the quarter with the family. The impacts of this proposal on adjacent agricultural activities and residential uses are considered low. Should this proposal and subsequent subdivision be approved, the parcel would align with MDP Policy 10.2.2 as the third title within the quarter section. The proposed parcel meets the minimum requirement of 1 acre of developable area as per MDP Policy 6.2.3. At the regular council meeting held on September 12th, 2023, council reviewed and granted first reading to Bylaw 1160/23. As required by legislation, notice of today's public hearing was advertised in the local newspapers, and comments were invited from adjacent landowners and referral agencies. Upon consideration of the representations made at the public hearing, council will consider whether or not to grant second and third readings to Bylaw 1160/23. I'll pass it back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for the development officer this time? You? Oh, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Just to be clear, there's no residence on this parcel at this point?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
There is, on the proposal.
Deputy Reeve Lougheed?
Sorry, there isn't a residence on this already?
No, there's 2 shops, and a Quonset and some livestock shelters. So the residence that's there will be staying with the remainder.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's the one that's staying to the north,
that's right.
and then to the south is just the remainder of the buildings.
Yes, yeah. And actually, I believe the grandson that will be purchasing the property has constructed a newer shop there that they're currently utilizing right now.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions for the development officer? Seeing none, I invite the development officer to present any comments received from referral agencies.
Thank you. TELUS Communications Incorporated has no objections. Blue Mountain Power Co-op Incorporated as REA has no objections. However, they are a member-owned nonprofit distribution wire service provider for all services in the area. If required, the developer may arrange installation of electrical services for the subdivision with the Blue Mountain Power Co-op. Clearwater County Public Works Infrastructure has reviewed the application and has no objection to the land use bylaw amendment. However, they do request that a 5.18 meter road widening caveat be taken along the south boundary of the property. Clearwater County Public Works Operations has no comments or concerns. Clearwater County Ag and Community Services have no comments or concerns. And Clearwater County Assessment notes that if approved, the Assessment Department would like to advise the applicant that the assessment of the subdivision will change from farmland to residential, both land and improvements. The Municipal Planning Commission reviewed the application on September 20, 2023. The MPC recommends that Council favorably consider granting second and third reading to the Land Use Amendment Application number 16/23, with an additional recommendation to acquire a survey sketch outlining services on site. Staff would like to note that this can be obtained prior to third reading at Council's request. However, it is generally obtained at the subdivision application stage for a developed parcel.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I now invite the applicant to speak to the proposal, and if you have any questions to support your request or respond to any comments. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here today to talk about our acreage application. The approval of a multi-generational farming acreage represents not just an investment in the land, but a commitment to our shared history and an investment in our future. At its core, multi-generational farming is a symbol of resilience, tradition, and a deep connection to the land. It's a way of life that's been passed down through the generations. Approving this acreage for multi-generational farming is not merely, a decision. It's a tribute to the legacy that has sustained us for decades. My parents homesteaded this quarter of land that the acreage is on over 50 years ago, and I grew up there. My mom still lives there, as well as my grandparents have homesteaded across the road and lived there for 60 years until their passing. That land also continues to be in the family. One of the most compelling reasons for granting approval to this application is the preservation of our agricultural heritage. By doing so, we honor the generations of farmers that have come before us. In an era where urbanization is rapidly encroaching upon rural lands, it is our responsibility to protect our farming traditions. The approval of this acreage guarantees that our son Austin, his wife Bobby, and our grandchildren Penny and Pete will have the opportunity to learn the farming way of life. They will be the 5th generation to live in the Everdale community. Let us also acknowledge the economic significance of bringing more young people to our community. They help boost our local economy by filling jobs, volunteering at our local community association, and supporting local businesses. They will ensure that we not only preserve our heritage, but also invest in our prosperity. In conclusion, granting approval for this multi-generational farming acreage is not only a decision about land use, but a choice to safeguard our roots and empower our future. It is a celebration of our enduring bond with the land and the legacy of those who came before us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I now invite any comments from any member of the public wishing to speak in favor of the application. Seeing none? They're all with you? What she said? Okay, that's fair, that's fair. So before moving on, has there been any written submissions in favor of the request?
No written submissions were received.
Thank you. I will now invite any comments from any member of the public wishing to speak in opposition of the application. Seeing none, I will now ask the development officer if any written submissions opposing the request were received.
No written submissions in opposition were received.
Thank you very much. And then now I will invite the applicant. Any final remarks?
I do think I've covered it all. With me is my husband and Bobby, my daughter-in-law, and then 2 other ladies that live in the Clearwater County that are also highly in favor of the approval of this.
Thank you very much. All right. Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you. I have a question for the applicant. Who's actually farming this land right now?
Well, my mom owns it, and my husband, and my brother sometimes. My brother lives in Red Deer, so mostly my husband, Darren Murray, who is behind me.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's his 3rd job, yeah.
Very good. Awesome. All right. So I will now consider the hearing closed and no motions will be entertained at this time at 2:03. So with that, we will move to 5.2, consideration of second and third readings. I'll pass it back on to Ms. Williams.
Thank you. So I'm not gonna go through the whole spiel again. You've met Valerie and she's here on behalf of her mom, Phyllis Ironside, with Ironside Consulting, proposing to redesignate 7 acres from the Ag District to the Country Residence CRA District. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicant, on behalf of the landowner, will proceed with an application to subdivide this 7-acre CRA parcel to create a separate title and become the 3rd title within the quarter section. And then we can refer to the documents from the previous council item for further details. And just wanted to note that at the regular council meeting on September 20th, council reviewed and granted first reading to the bylaw. And as required by legislation, notice of today's public hearing was advertised in the local newspapers. Comments were invited from adjacent landowners and referral agencies. And upon representation made at the public hearing, council will consider whether or not to grant second and third readings to bylaw 1160 with a recommendation to consider that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. I believe Ms. Murray said it best during her presentation to council, and I concur wholeheartedly with all of your words. And I would add one, in fact, that this allows true aging in place. It allows your mom to stay there with any support that she may need in order to stay on the land in which she has cultivated and enjoyed for her lifetime. And I think that this is truly what the provision for 10.2.2 is actually made for. And I would happily make the motion for second reading.
Thank you very much. Well said. Any further discussion? Councillor Northcott.
Alrighty, well, it is a difficult decision to sit here like this, but it doesn't seem like the comments from the public that were regarding the 2023 MDP. I still hear all those comments and remember speaking to residents and stuff, and there was the surveys, the open houses, the public hearing, and just the large majority of residents were not in favor of the 3rd title per quarter. So I won't be supporting this today, but it's difficult. To look back and see all the surveys that were completed, the MDP, like the public hearing and all that stuff. So, but I think I can probably easily predict the outcome.
Any further discussion? I know for myself, this is an existing yard site, or part of a yard site. As Deputy Lougheed has indicated, aging in place is actually a gift, and the longer we can keep our seniors, it's the quality of life between the generations. So I will be supporting this this subdivision. So, any other further questions? I will call. Oh, Councillor Cermak.
Yeah, this 7 acres you have here, is that intended for a residence? Somebody, you're gonna put it on the market for sale? Or is one of the family members gonna build a house and live on this acreage?
Can I answer that?
Yes, my son and his wife Bobby, who's in attendance here today, and my grandchildren will be living there.
Okay, so right now it is not being subdivided as an existing residence. It's a future residence then.
Austin and Bobby intend to build a house on there as soon as they can get separate title for it. So there will be a subdivision application coming before the Municipal Planning Commission.
Okay, so that meets our MG, or MDP.
Yes, because it is partially, a portion of it is from the existing farmstead, so that's where we got the 7 acres from. Normally, if there wasn't a residence, if it was just a bare parcel, then it would be 5 acres. But because there are there's some existing development and services there, we can go up to the 7.
And all the buildings on that line site are within setbacks and everything.
Yes, that's why we changed the configuration on the north side. Yeah, just because they were going to look at maybe removing the Quonset on there, but it just worked out better for the setbacks for that Quonset to make that little L shape. And then it puts it a little bit further back from the barn that's gonna be on the remainder. And then on the north there, it just puts it a little bit further back. So if you're bringing equipment or animals in and out of that barn, then you're not crossing property boundaries.
So this acreage isn't taking up any real valuable agricultural land, or is it?
I can't speak to what has been cultivated or that's coming out of that 7 acres. The area between where you see that row of buildings and the highway or the road,
Yes.
it's quite low land.
And it used to be actually ostrich pens.
Yeah.
Which now we don't have ostriches anymore. The land, the 7 acres was never a field. It was always the barnyard. So, yeah, it was never in a crop. It was never pasture. It was just always the barnyard.
Which is essentially suitable for a minor agricultural pursuits for personal use and enjoyment, which is the point behind a CRA parcel, right? Which is what it regulates.
I love the idea of the 5th generation living on a farm. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a motion before us for second reading. There's no further discussion. I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Motion for third reading. Councillor Graham?
I would make that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. Third reading. All right. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor of third reading? Those opposed? It's carried. Thank you very much. You bet. So being as how we are ahead of our next next one at 2:30. Yes, that's fine, that's fine. Thank you so much. That's excellent. With permission, if we could go into the report section and maybe carry on with the CAO report. 135. 9.1.
Thank you, Reeve Swanson. So the October 24th, 2023 CAO report. The Rural Municipalities of Alberta, RMA, scholarship winners announced. The RMA is pleased to announce that 5 outstanding rural Alberta students have been awarded the 2023 RMA post-secondary scholarship. These students demonstrated their commitment to rural Alberta through their chosen studies, community involvement, and academic achievement. The RMA Board of Directors would like to congratulate this year's recipients. Paige Chapman from Newhill, Katrina McIntosh, Mountain View County, Cora Plite, Leduc County, Toby Alexander from MD of Peace, and Afifa from Wood Buffalo. The RMA's post-secondary scholarship is awarded annually to 1 student from each RMA district. Applications for 2024 will be accepted beginning of May 2024. Second item, the county's Economic Development Officer, EDO, provided a brief update on several meetings attended in the past few weeks. Discover Rocky in David Thompson Country. This group, part of the Rocky Chamber of Commerce, receives ongoing support from the EDO in its development and collaborates on crafting tour itineraries. Tourism Industry Association of Alberta Advocacy Summit, a 1-day conference involving destination marketing organizations, municipalities, large tourism businesses, provincial government representatives. Discussions encompassed various issues impacting the Alberta tourism industry, including international flights, sustainable aviation fuel, the Ministry of Tourism and Sports focus, Travel Alberta's tourism development zones, AI usage in travel booking sites, wildfire and pandemic preparedness for tourism businesses and communities, and tourism opportunities. Nordegg Area Trails Bighorn Subcommittee. This group is actively mapping and assessing trails around Nordegg to Abraham Lake, with a focus on sustainable trail development on public lands. The EDO provides information about businesses and tourist usage and communicates with tourists regarding the trails. Economic Development Officers, Economic Developers of Alberta Ministers Dinner, an annual meeting where economic development officers engage with Government of Alberta ministers and assistant deputy ministers, facilitating discussions on topics like red tape, grant incentives, regulations, and strategies to support economic development in municipalities. The Economic Development Officer is collaborating with McSweeney and Associates to update the community profile and short-form community profile, which will remain relevant for at least 2 years. These profiles are shared with site selectors and businesses interested in expanding or establishing themselves in Clearwater County. The county and town EDOs partnered to hire a videographer to capture various locations around the county and town. This footage will be utilized in promotional videos and interviews to showcase the existing lifestyles and businesses within the community.
Thank you. Any questions in regards to the report? I think it's fabulous that our RMA gives out such generous scholarships to the people that are pursuing post-secondary educations. And I know we've had some students in the past that have been honored with the scholarships, and we encourage those to apply next year, so that's wonderful. Can I get a motion to accept the CEO report? Sorry, your light's on. Councillor Ratcliffe?
I move that the CAO's report be accepted as information.
Okay, thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Excellent. Moving on to the Clearwater Regional Fire Rescue Services report. Are there any questions, comments? Councillor Graham?
I will make a motion to accept as information.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I just want to say that they've been very busy lately. Although the fires have ended, the snow has come, and yeah, it's they're looking forward to a break, no doubt. So anyways, I'll call the question. All those in favor to accept for information? Thank you. Carried. All right, moving along to 9.3 to the capital project status update. I believe it's all our public works projects. Anybody have any questions, comments? Councillor Graham? Nope. Okay. Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. At some point during strategic planning, I'd love the opportunity to learn the way that we determine how we build the road, like what version we're going to use, because apparently there's several different ways to build a road. I don't think that it's appropriate that we dig into it here at a regular council meeting, but perhaps going forward, and then I would have the ability to answer some of my residents' questions a little bit better, because to have a full, well-rounded understanding of the protocol that we use to build said road, and then I can help mitigate some of those concerns that some residents may have. So perhaps at a strategic planning committee, we can learn some of those things. That'd be great.
So what I heard is we'd like to go through the road building policy at some point in time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Awesome. Glad to see that we've got so much accomplished in the last remaining months of construction season. So if I could have a motion to adopt the, as information, adopt the capital project status. Councillor Ratcliffe.
I actually had a question.
Okay, very good.
Which is about the Nordegg South Access Road. Can we assume that this road is going to be a carryover into 2024? There's no construction planned on it for this year?
That is correct. The way it's looking right now, Councillor Ratcliffe, that will come forward at a future strategic planning session. The permits have really added to the cost of construction, so it's going to be a future conversation that this council needs to address.
All right, thank you. In that case, I will make the motion to accept the capital project status report for information.
Thank you. There's no further discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Carrying on to 9.4, the Rimbey RCMP update report for September, October 2023. Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. The numbers that are being provided here, are those based on the calls for service within Clearwater County or general Rimbey detachment calls for service?
COMs? Nope. Okay. Ms. Hayes? Sorry.
Do we know?
You're referring to the Rimbey detachment report?
Yeah, I was just
It's-
curious if
yeah.
the numbers that they've given us were the calls for service that they get requested within our borders or Rimbey detachment in general?
That would be Rimbey detachment in general. We will be contacting the detachment. The report that they have submitted is not the standard template for reporting to council. So we'll just clarify that that they do have the other report available, which breaks it down and gives statistics for Clearwater County.
Thank you, because yeah, this wasn't the one that I was used to. So,
Exactly. It's a little different. I believe it's what they submit to the newspapers.
Okay.
So, so yes, we will be reaching out to them and just clarifying and confirming the type of report that they'll be submitting forward.
Thank you.
Very good. So,
Except for information, sorry.
thank you. Deputy Reeve Lougheed, motions except for information. If there's no further discussion, I will ask the question. All those in favor? Carried. Very good. We have a few more minutes. I will, because it's 2:30. Oh, we got 6. Yeah, we got about 8 minutes, so let's keep on going. Let's go through our verbal council reports. And I will start with Division 1. Oh, so, or if that's okay, or do you want me to start on my far right? Are you ready?
Easy. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
ready. Sorry, I
Okay,
just
no
was so
worries.
used to that
I know.
I'm like, Division 1, that's me. Thank you. I had the pleasure of attending the fall staff meeting. Again, I thank CAO Emmons for inviting council to attend. It's always good to see what the team is up to and to meet as many of the employees as we can. I very much enjoy being invited to that, so thank you. The amalgamation workshop that was facilitated by Ms. Haight was great. I actually quite enjoyed the day, even though sometimes things can come across like they might not be so wonderful, but I think that was truly a good day, and I look forward to those conversations going forward. I think that it'll be, I'm looking forward to it anyway. Municipal Planning Commission, we visited several sites and deliberated over them, and going forward, hopefully council did recognize that we took into consideration the last the last recommendations from council for going towards the LUB to give more reasons for why we are requesting council favorably or not favorably consider, and we've started adding those already. So in preparation for that potentially changing in the bylaw, we figured we'd just start early and start adding in our reasons. So hopefully council will find that helpful. I've been meeting with the Pioneer Center to help work them through some committee concerns. And I really hope that the travel committee and the Pioneer Center can work together to continue to be super valuable entities within our community. And I thank the Ag and Community Services for their help through that process. Annie has been wonderful in her expertise in terms of reference and subcommittee bylaws and all of those things, and work them through some of those society type things. I attended the Recycling Council conference, and this was my first time going, and I found it very valuable, even though it was a largely urban perspective, this conference. I really liked some of the ways that they are approaching things. In particular, the Hodgepodge Lodge, which is in Strathcona County, if I'm remembering correctly, that's similar to a share shed type idea. And they were able to get around the legal requirements in order to accomplish that. And they actually have volunteers manning that many hours out of the day and doing like community recycling workshops and making sure that it is manned as much as possible. And they used actually almost entirely recycled items in order to build it in the first place, which was kind of a cool idea. Like they have like a patchwork quilt as the roof. Like it's all different types of shingles, and it was a really neat idea, and I hope that we can use it as an example for our share shed, potentially coming to an ICC near you. Maybe we can partner with our local urbans and build a very similar type program, as I hear lots that the share shed is very much missed. Something that I wanted to pass on to our library teams, the people that sit on the library, is the idea of a repair cafe. So some communities have brought in people that are really good at like fixing things, and they have people bring their broken toasters or broken vacuums or whatever, and then have people at their library or wherever. I thought of library. They've done these in rec centers and whatever. And we could maybe do that here, because I thought that was a really neat idea. It was also interesting hearing about the different types of bylaws people are trying to put forward in order to create recycling options. I'm excited about some of the things, in particular the solar presentation we had done regarding recycling, and how there's a community, even in the United States, they came up to talk to us about it, and some of the concerns that they have are very similar to the concerns that we have had. So it is not simply a rural Alberta perspective of having ag land taken up by solar and potential recycling issues. It's interesting hearing that it's a full global concern. We met with Minister Lowen regarding the Tauntaun Bridge, and we had an opportunity to advocate on behalf of our community with him, and I look forward to meeting with him again, I believe November 7th or 8th. The dates changed a little bit, but I'm looking forward to that again. And SRO meetings, we met with them yesterday, and mainly discussed, honestly, having more meetings, because it was the first one we've had in a very long time, and they're such valuable entities in our community, and hopefully we can continue to communicate even more effectively with the detachment commander on staffing concerns and the SRO. And my other request at the end of my presentation, sorry for such long-winded, it's been a very busy couple of weeks, is I have put forward my nomination to represent District 2 for the rural municipalities of Alberta. And I humbly request for my council's endorsement by way of resolution for my bid for that position. So I would request that of my council today.
Very good. So, full 2 weeks, like you've mentioned. And
I tried to talk fast.
Yeah,
to
no,
get
it's
through
very
it all.
good. Councillor Ratcliffe.
Just as something to add to part of your comment about having a sort of repair depot, or that was something that was discussed at FCSS, especially in homes where the father isn't around all the time, is that to get some of these kids together with community volunteers and teach some of these skills. So I think it's a great idea.
Very good. Awesome.
And
Yep.
we need a motion.
Motion to endorse.
I move then that council endorse the application of Deputy Reeve Lougheed to the District 2 RMA Committee.
Very good, thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Excellent. Division 2.
Many similar things. I was also able to attend the fall staff meeting, and something that was really interesting that I heard from one of the staff members there was he was looking around and he said, I don't recognize half the people here now. And it's one of the departments that's had to move to another building, so it was interesting to hear that perspective because he doesn't have the mingling with the staff that happened before. Rocky Rec Board meeting, and I guess something that I would bring forward from that is the escape program that the Rocky Skate Park does. I believe it's every Thursday. You can go on their Facebook page and they advertise it. And they do, like, they're teaching car maintenance this week or next week, I think. And they're going to teach people how to make spring rolls. There's no cost to it. And it's just kind of like escape winter. So people can just go and have something to do in the evenings. I had my drop-in session. I worked a lot of my way through the LEB, so I didn't have anyone show up, and I cruised through it. I've made lots of progress, which is nice. We had the amalgamation workshop. I would agree it went quite well. The Tauntaun Bridge grand opening, I do actually have a question about that for one of you three. I'm not sure. I'm just curious. I'm glad that she was there, but how did it come about that Mayor Beach was invited to it? Was that our council or?
So thank you for the question. So as this is a provincial structure, that invitation was extended out from the province of Alberta.
The province. Okay, I was just curious because I was speaking to one of the council members and they were kind of curious why it was just the mayor invited, and I would echo that. We don't really have control over what the province does. I'm very glad she was there, but I would have loved it if the province would have extended that to their entire council. But it was a great day. It just such in the words of Councillor Lougheed, a gem in our backyard, or a gem that we have. I had Councillor Northcott and I had a North Saskatchewan Rec Board meeting yesterday. We had an application for some money, so that was really nice, and I don't know if I can say any more about that, so I'm not going to. And the SRO meeting with Deputy Reeve Lougheed. One interesting thing that I was talking to someone after the meeting, and they had a really good perspective that the SROs only go to the Wild Rose schools. So we're paying for them to be, you know, with our residents and likewise in the town. But if anyone goes to the Red Deer Catholic schools, they aren't receiving the SRO service. So I don't know if that's something I don't remember. I know I'm the alternate on that. Were you the person again on that board?
Yeah, this was the first meeting we had.
Yeah, so that's something we can work towards. I'm not sure how it works, but I would love to have them in all the schools. I think we're paying for them to represent all of the children in our area, not just the ones in Wild Rose. So, and great program though, great people doing the program, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Excellent. Any questions? Moving along. Division 3.
I know the clock on the wall.
Okay.
We have it.
Okay, very good. To 2:30, yes.
I tend to be long-winded, as you might know.
Okay, we will pause then and you'll start again. So we will start with our 2:30 public hearing on 4.3. Welcome. There we go. So I'll call the hearing to order at 2:31. And I'll outline the process. Everyone present shall register. All persons wishing to speak shall be recognized by the chair. Every presenter, when told it's their turn, shall identify themselves and their organization, if any, and whether they are in favor or opposed of the bylaw. If a presenter becomes repetitive, they are limited by the chair. If a presenter or a member of the audience becomes disrespectful, they may be asked to leave by the chair. No outside recording devices are permitted. We ask that cell phones be turned off or put to silent mode. Breaks within the hearing will be called at the chairman's discretion. Firstly, the development officer will explain the background of the application, then the applicant will be invited to outline the reasons for the application. At any time, council members have the opportunity to ask questions. Any submissions received from other agencies will then be read out loud. Then anyone who is present and whom is in favor of the application will be asked to submit his or her presentation. Following this, comments will be requested from anyone who is opposed to the application. opposed to the application, yes. And the applicant will have the last word and thus respond to any issues previously raised. Before I turn it over, I would like to take a moment for introductions. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Sydney Graham, Counselor for Division 2.
Good afternoon, Darrell Lougheed, Counselor for Division 3.
Welcome, Jenny Melhoff, Division 1 Counselor and Deputy Reeve.
Hello, Michelle Swanson, Division 7 Counselor in Reeve.
Good afternoon, Jordan Northcott, Division 4 Counselor.
Good afternoon, Neil Ratcliffe, Counselor for Division 5.
Welcome, Brian Cermak, Counselor for Division 6.
Good afternoon, Murray Hagan, Director of Corporate Services.
Hi, Gordon. Kim Gillum, Manager of Planning.
Good afternoon, Rick Emmons, CO.
Tracy Hay, Legislative Services Coordinator.
Gordon Sanders, applicant for application 1223.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn it over to Ms. Gill.
Okay, so this was Dustin's application, but he is away right now, so I will be presenting. So Gordon and Michelle Sanders currently hold title to the Northeast 3034-4 containing 153.08 acres. The subject land is in the agriculture district and is located approximately 11 miles northeast of the town of Sundre in the James River Bridge area. The landowners have made application to redesignate 12.2 acres located in the southeast corner of the quarter section from the agriculture district to this country residence agriculture districts, or CRA. And then the remaining 140.88 acres of the quarter section would remain agricultural. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicants will then proceed with the subdivision application to separate the 12.2 acres. The proposed undeveloped 12.2 acre CRA parcel is heavily treed on the east side of the proposed parcel adjacent to the road. The west portion of the proposed parcel is cleared farmland. Access to the proposed CRA parcel will be obtained from a new access off Range Road 4-5 adjacent to the east property boundary, and access to the remainder is off of Range Road 4-5 as well. The landowners have made application to amend the land use bylaw to be able to subdivide off the proposed undeveloped parcel. The reason the landowners have applied to redesignate more than the maximum acceptable lot size is because the land located in the southeast corner of the quarter section is more conducive together as the 12-acre parcel than it is if it were to remain with the quarter section. The landowners also list property succession, tax planning, and estate planning as additional reasons for making application. Surrounding land uses in the area are mainly agricultural, with a few residential parcels surrounding the property. The attached package provides more detail on the proposed development, and the applicant is present to speak to it. So going into policy, there's a variety of municipal development plan policies that have been included in the application, including MDP policy 5.2.3, subdivision development on agricultural land, that in evaluating subdivision or development that affects agricultural land, the agricultural quality of the land will be considered, and the nature extent of farming activities in the area, and the nature and extent of non-farming in the area, farmland assessment, proposed use of land, etc. And then there's additional policies. Policy 6.2.2, general residential development considerations. When considering a subdivision, the county will consider the site has attributes suitable for residential development, is appropriately located, and mitigating a variety of impacts on natural capital. Then we moving on to subdivision and development of land, provides opportunity for a variety of parcel size to accommodate, and that this would be the third title from the quarter section. So notwithstanding 10.2.1, Clearwater County may approve one additional subdivision in a quarter section for residential or non-residential use, subject to the proposed parcel being redesignated, which they're applying for today. And generally under 10.2.4, for a developed site, it would be 7 acres, and undeveloped, we don't specify, but it would be 5 per the land use bylaw. Yes, I think. Yeah, when considering a redesignation of subdivision development, there's a variety of things to consider. Impact on adjoining nearby land uses, natural capital, the environment, density, and access requirements. And then we move into the land use bylaw. So the purpose of the CRA district is the general purpose of this district is to accommodate and regulate traditional country residential agricultural parcels. And again, this specifies lot sizes. So moving into policy considerations, the redesignation of the proposed land is to allow for the subdivision of the 12.2 acre parcel from the southeast corner. As we have indicated, the landowners have proposed the 12.2 acres in the southeast corner because of the location being more conducive for the use they are proposing and would have access off of Range Road 4-5. And should the proposed land use amendment and subsequent subdivision improve, the parcel would be considered the third title within the quarter section per MDP policy 10.2.2. The applicants have provided a letter summarizing the quality of the soil on the proposed parcel of land. The report completed by Sundry Soil Services indicates that the soil was very sandy with little grass growing. No soil sample was taken to be sent into the lab as the ground was too hard to get the soil probe into the ground. This letter indicates that the proposed subdivision would meet the criteria outlined in MDP policy 10.2.10B, as the proposed parcel would be located in a portion of land that has the lowest agricultural capability within the quarter section based on the provincial farmland assessment rating or alternative rating prepared by a qualified professional and acceptable to the county. So our recommendation at the regular council meeting held on September 12th, council reviewed and gave first reading to bylaw 1158-23 as required by legislation. Notice of today's public hearing was advertised in the local newspapers and comments were invited from adjacent landowners and agencies. Upon considerations of the representations made at the public hearing, council will consider whether or not to grant second and third readings to bylaw 1158-23.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for the development officer? Councillor Northcott.
Under policy considerations where it says no soil sample was taken to be sent to the lab as the ground was too hard to get the soil probe into the ground. Two questions. I was just wondering if they were on top of a rock. And if somebody else was to be able to get a soil sample there, would this be a false statement?
Yeah, I'll just grab the study here that was submitted from the Soil Services. They did include some pictures showing the sandy nature of the soil, and they, it appears they attempted to get some and they got a little ways down, but maybe not a full sample to be able to submit for those studies. Yeah, it says, I tried to get my soil probe into the ground right at the truck and was only able to get it into the ground about half an inch. The ground was very compacted and the probe was only able to get a bit of sand. We walked to the middle of the parcel up the hill where we expected the ground to be a bit softer. When we got to the top of the field, I noticed that there were a few sand pits. So I chose a spot further northwest than originally intended. It took a lot of force to get my probe into the ground. I managed to get into the ground about 5 or 6 inches. As you will see in photo, they have another photo here, the probe soil reside is almost 100% sand mixture. We then walked over to the northeast of the top of the hill and I managed to get my probe in one more time. Upon pulling the probe out, the results was the same as the first probe, as I was able to pull almost 100% sand. Everywhere else, it was always sand, or it was too hard. I have done numerous soil samples over my 10 years in agriculture, and this is one of the ones I have done where I can't get the probe into the ground at all, or no dirt matter was pulled up. Unfortunately, I was not able to pull enough soil matter to be able to send away to be tested. Therefore, Gord will they will not have a soil sample to present to the county. Usually in a hay or pasture field like this one, you will find some sign of rodent life. There's not a gopher hole or mole hole as well in the 12 acres of land. It would take a significant amount of money to try to get the soil amended to a state that you could possibly attempt to grow any sort of crop on the piece of property. Yes, so that's kind of a general gist of the letter. So that was reasoning for the lack of full soil sample. Yes.
One more.
Yes, go ahead.
For these summarizing of it, well, do they ever, I know that there was many municipalities that had declared a state of agricultural disaster with drought. It's happened over the last couple of years, but I'm just curious if rainfall or weather patterns is considered in the quality of agricultural land. I
don't believe we've ever used that for any of our stuff unless it was provided as part of a study that was required.
Just curious.
Right. Any further questions for the development officer? Oh,
I
okay.
was just gonna clarify for Councillor Northcott that, the ground was it's all sand, but it was so compacted, and a lot of it is to do with the cattle being in there. So we have dug test holes there. There was some interest in using it for fill at one time, but because it was all sand, we dug down to about 8 feet, and there's just a little bit of duff on top, and then the balance is all fine grained sand.
Councillor Northcott.
Thank you very much for the clarification. It was just, I felt that there was a misleading statement in this report to say that it just makes the parcel look a little bit more undesirable to make that statement, to say that no soil sample was taken as the ground was too hard to get the probe. And so with the cattle being there and stuff like that, thank you very much for the information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions council has for the development officer? Seeing none, I invite the development officer to present any comments received from referral agencies.
Thank you. So TELUS Communications has no objection to the above notification. Fortis Alberta has no concerns, and then you can contact them for electrical services. Foothills Natural Gas Co-op has reviewed the application, has no objections to the land use amendment, and they will have condition in regards to the subdivision if and when the applicants proceed, so they will be referred again. Public Works Infrastructure has no comments or concerns. Public Works Operations has no comments or concerns. The aforementioned application has been received, Alberta Health Services has been received by our office, and we are satisfied that the application poses minimal risk to public health. And then there's standard comments about placing water wells and septic locations in appropriate locations. Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors offers the following comments and observations. Pursuant to section 618.31 of the MGA, the department expects the municipality will comply with any applicable items related to provincial highways. Pursuant to 618.41 of the MGA, the department expects that the municipality will mitigate the impacts of traffic generated by developments approved by local road, on the local road connections to the highway system. And they say, we thank you for the opportunity to respond. The properties outside the highway development control zone is shown on the uploaded document. Therefore, no land use redesignation referral is required. MPC, the Municipal Planning Commission reviewed the application on September 20th, 2023. MPC recommends that council favorably consider granting second and third reading to the Land Use Amendment Application 1223 with an additional recommendation to reduce the parcel size to align with the adjacent parcel. And that's it.
Thank you. I now invite the applicant to speak to the proposal and to support your request and respond to any comments.
Okay, thanks council for hearing our application this afternoon. Prior to making this application, we wanted to see what all our neighbors thought about making this new parcel on our quarter section. It's very important to always have good neighbor relations. All 6 landowners on Range Road 4-5 are in favor of the proposed parcel, including the owners of the first parcel out of our quarter section. All landowners agreed to and signed a letter of support for the new parcel, and these were submitted to planning. The primary agricultural production on this quarter section is hay. This production is on a band of cleared land that was previously poplar and consists of gray wooded soil. The balance of the quarter consists of primarily pine trees with sand for soil. This type of soil is the same type as the cleared pasture in the west portion of the proposed parcel, and just reference to the sundry soil report. The pasture portion of this quarter will carry 8 cow-calf pairs, and this summer it was quite a bit less, and they pulled early because of the, like Councillor Northcott said, drier this year, of course. But that's all it will hold. It's estimated that the west portion of the proposed parcel will carry 1 cow-calf pair for the grazing season, and therefore would not impact the overall agriculture production of the quarter. We are asking for a larger size parcel, as the cleared pasture in the west portion of the proposed parcel is a very poor quality soil growing sparse native grasses, and the balance dandelions. And the larger parcel would allow the parcel owner to enhance agricultural opportunities that would not be available on the smaller parcel. These opportunities could include horses, domestic hogs, and chickens, sheep, etc. Also adequate land to build a barn and infrastructure. The products from some of these opportunities could be used for self-consumption or sale. The proposed larger parcel would enhance agricultural use of the quarter section rather than take away from it. To us, we think this is a very make sense application. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I will now ask if there's any member of the public wishing to speak in favor of the application. Let's see, none here. I'll carry on. Has there been any written submissions in favor of the request?
There has not.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite any comments from the member of public wishing to speak in opposition. Again, there's no one here. Has the development officer have any written applications or submissions, opposing the request?
I don't know if it's exactly opposing, but we did have a concern. So this letter says that to Mr. Bizin, this letter is to address our concern about this file application to amend the land use bylaw. We are the landowners next to Gordon and Michelle Sanders. Our legal address is the northeast of 30. As well, our names are Kevin and Eileen McKenzie. Our concern is for our water well easement on the 12.2 acres that is being considered for subdivision. Eileen and myself would request that this be noted before moving forward with the proposal to subdivide, being that the well line is not that deep from the well. It could possibly be damaged in any road or other buildings permitted. And this, at this time, we would not wish to drill a new water well. Could you address our concerns over this situation? And it might be best to ask the landowner, because I'm not sure where this water well line would be in consideration of the parcel.
All right. Could you address,
You
get the final remarks, so
Okay.
absolutely.
We drilled a water well on there, and there's an existing water well on there that the first parcel out has an easement to. And we drilled this well, it's quite a ways away. Their well has a static water level of 120 feet. I think it's 120 feet. This static level is 12 feet. It's entirely different water. And I could have got the water well driller, Wild Rose Water Wells, to come and speak to that, but it will have no effect on any of the water wells surrounding there. It's totally different water. And that is proved by the difference in the static level of the water.
Well, on this 12-acre property then, and they have an easement to use it on their?
Yeah, there's an easement on it for the first parcel out. And then we drilled another one because I wanted to drill one. I didn't have any water for cattle like from the houses on the other side. So I thought, well, I'll drill a well there and use one of those solar systems. And that's what I guess his concern was. But I can assure you that for all the professionals that I talk to say it's different water, it's a different zone, and there should be no concern at all.
Okay. Councillor Cermak.
I need that clarified, Mr. Sanders. You said this well is on the 12 acres and they run their water supply to their house on the adjoining subdivision through your property to their property for their water?
When their acreage of the first parcel out was created, they didn't get any water at the site, so they witched one over further southeast or southwest, and that's what they've been using for their water. And then I drilled another one to the east of that, probably 100 meters or better, and that's just a standalone well, Brian.
Could administration have a laser, and could you identify on your property for us?
Pardon?
Could you identify on your property where it would be located on, if we gave you a laser?
I don't know how to run.
Okay.
I'm pretty archaic, but I can walk up there and show you if you.
Sure, sure. Sure, that would be great.
Their water well that services the first parcel out is here.
Correct?
Water well I drilled is here.
Okay.
So they have concerns about crossing the line to their house and causing damage to the water well, but
Well,
I think that's what they're saying, but I
yeah,
mean, it is
if
your
that's the
property if
concern,
there's an
it's
easement.
8 feet deep, and I don't, I know because I checked with the landowner to the south, Stan Kinsel, and he said when the original owner put that line in, it was put in at 8 feet deep for freezing concerns below the frost line. So it's 8 feet deep. You could land a Hercules aircraft over it. You know, I mean, there should be no concern, but.
All right. Thank you for that. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. How does that, okay, sorry. If this gets rezoned, subdivided, and sold, could the new landowner restrict access to the water well that the neighbor uses?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure, because there are a number of water wells that are like on shared property boundaries and on other properties. So I think if there's approval for the well, I'm not sure, but Rick, do you have any?
Councillor, or CEO Emmons?
Typically with these shared services, what happens, it gets caveated to the title.
Okay, so then that could happen at the
That's, go ahead.
supplementary, thank
Yep.
you. So that could get added to the title at the subdivision stage, that easement stay in place to ensure the neighbor has their water supply?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Saunders, would you like to reply to that?
Well,
Mr.
I was just gonna say, Mr. Emmons, that yes, the easement would transfer to the new title, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, you can't do that. That'd just be kind of silly, but it's a good question to cover all the bases, yeah.
Very good. Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. I'm still a bit confused about which properties the water wells are servicing. So when you talk about the neighbor getting their water, is that the neighbor in that first parcel out, or is it the neighbor to the south of the property? Parcel out, yeah. Is getting water from this? From the original well that has the easement on it, yeah. And the new well is a standalone well. Okay, yeah, I think I have it, thank you.
Councillor Cermak.
Do you have a copy of the easement and how the wording is that the owner of the well that is using the water has rights to be able to go on that land to repair the well or repair his line if he wants?
I do have an easement here on their RPR.
Okay.
Would you like to have a look at it, or?
Okay.
I'm just really confused that you can have, because I don't want somebody to not be without water. If we give somebody else 12 acres and then the water leaves.
See, this is be the 12 acres here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the well is there and it goes
Well's
on.
there, and there's the easement.
There should be existing easement on title?
That existing easement is 65 meters by, it doesn't say how wide, but it's 65 meters.
I'm not sure if that's the written now, that wouldn't be 59. It'd be about 30 or something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
So this owner has a right to go in there,
And service.
so this person with the new 12 acres we're gonna give can't use that land or even be on it.
You can be on an easement.
you can't build on it or put a fence on it or anything like that.
Well,
Because that easement is belongs
couldn't
to
build
the
it.
other person.
You couldn't put a permanent structure over the line, that's for sure, but,
So, gentlemen, I appreciate the conversation. This is obviously new information to the rest of council. We're just about at the hearing closure, but I'm wanting to know if there's any other questions this can be forward. If we want more information at this point in time, this can be, that, I would imagine that could be shared with the planning and for the next phase.
sure.
Okay? There's no other questions other than that particular easement by council. I will close the hearing at 2:58. No motions entertained at this time. Now we will go to 5.3 for considerations of second and third readings. And I'll pass the floor back over to Ms. Gillum.
Sorry, gotta jump to my item. Where'd it go? Too many things open. Okay. Obviously, we've just presented for the public hearing here, so upon consideration of the representations made at the public hearing, administration requests that council consider granting second and third reading to bylaw 115823 for the purpose of amending the land use bylaw to redesignate 12.2 acres of the northeast 3034-4 west of the 5th from agriculture to country residence agriculture district. And yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you very much. All right, open the floor to discussion. Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. MPC suggested that the size be reduced to be in alignment with the first parcel out. Do we have what that number of acreage would be?
Like this straight line?
Yeah.
I don't believe so, but I could look quickly. If you have any other questions.
Just to give us an idea of the change that may.
A shade over 7 acres is the first parcel out.
Okay.
Yeah. I have the RPR here if you'd like to see it.
And that one looks a little bit more narrow. When I was trying to map it out, it looked like it'd be between 7, like just under 7 and 5, somewhere in between there, but I don't know for sure.
If you squared that off, it's 6.
6? Okay, there we go.
Ms. Gillum? All right. While she's working on that, I'll move on to Councillor Ratcliffe.
My question is what implication this water well easement might have on this decision, as one of the reasons for going over size is utilities.
Sorry, I was trying for mapping. I didn't realize the question was for me.
No?
If I may, just to assist Manager Gillum, she's busy on others. Councillor Ratcliffe, no. The application for the 12 didn't include the water well anyway, so it was outside of that service area. So whether it was 6, 7 acres or 12, the well would still be on the adjacent property to service. So it would still require the easement to service the then different parcel.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Gillum.
Yeah, so I kind of measured it out and it works out 5.75, so possibly 6-ish acres to draw a straight line down from the existing parcel.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, discussion for the Councillor Grant?
If there were to be a line drawn from the existing one down, would that mean that the water well would be, it looks like it was right kind of in there, would that mean that it would be outside of this parcel then, or would it still, would you estimate that it would be within this parcel? Okay, thank you.
South-ish of it, so it would still be within the proposed parcel.
Any further discussion? Councillor Lougheed.
I guess for me, I have a little difficulty with the size of this. Typically, we've allowed a larger parcel in order to incorporate existing structures, infrastructure, utility within there. I'm not necessarily seeing that in this picture, and I'm not entirely convinced that there is a necessity for the 12.2 acres to assume a usable parcel size there. And ultimately, I see much of the agricultural value being in that open pasture area as well. So I just have a little difficulty with the size of this parcel.
Okay. Councillor Cermak?
Yeah, I'm the same as Councillor Lougheed. I have a problem with the size of it, and I need some more information on that. We guarantee water to this person that's already living there on the other property, that the first subdivision of this. I just need some more information before I can make an educated decision on this. I think it's great subdivision, but that well really distorts everything to me.
Okay. Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you, Reeve. Councillor Cermak, they did say we can put it as a consideration at subdivision. So if this was to be approved, Municipal Planning Commission can put that as a condition of the subdivision that we guarantee access by way of caveat on title. So that can be cleared up through Municipal Planning Commission. But my question was regards to 10.2.10 subsection B. Are we utilizing that as a way to make can we make parcel sizes larger through the land use bylaw by that, similar to what we do with shelter belts or existing systems, et cetera? Or is that just a suggestion of where to put adequate sized parcels, i.e. the 5 for undeveloped, 7 for developed? Just trying to get some more understanding of the 10.2.10 subsection B.
I think generally, like, you have to look at the policies all together. So I think it just means like where an appropriate parcel would be located would be best on the lower agricultural land was the intent of that policy, but then considering other policies and the land use bylaw for suggested sizes for parcels based on what was developed within the MDP. So I think it's just saying any parcel proposed that we're asking or want to consider the capability of that agricultural land when we're considering it, and being that it be on the lowest agricultural capability within that quarter section.
Okay, supplementary?
Yes.
Do we have an opportunity while we do the land use bylaw changes or potential changes that we're doing to add some more clarity in there, i.e. farm assessment ratings, et cetera, rather than the subjectivity of less capable ag land? What are we using as our scale for less capable ag land?
Generally, like, we've kind of used farmland assessment rating as a basis, and then or like as per the policy, they could bring in some studies showing like the soil, indicating that it's sandy soil. So there isn't a lot of areas in there that you could do further consideration for that. For consideration of like how we consider that. I think it's just the policy says to consider that, and it's up to us to kind of determine what we consider there, I guess, or what we ask for.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Northcott.
Just a comment for Councillor Cermak. I know you want to see for the water supply to the resident. I was just a resident actually a while back sent me this, but there's a bylaw. Seems bylaws is on the forefront here. But I think it's bylaw number 1133-22. Anyways, it says, the county does not guarantee or warrant the continuous supply of potable water. So, I don't know if that helps you. Yeah, I don't know. But that was just sent to me, so I'd have to see what the facts are, but that's Interesting and kind of fitting for the moment. What else here? I think compaction might be your problem there, as far as not even being able to get productive pasture or hayfield or anything there. I think it might be compaction could be the problem there, and poor seed bed. But I was also like this trend of the third title per quarter. It's actually quite surprising when I looked at the Clearwater County subdivision location map. It shows all the current. It doesn't show the one, like the first parcel's off, but it shows all the current subdivisions in Clearwater County. I think this trend, it's trending towards urbanizing the rural landscape of Clearwater County. Again, for all the previous reasons with the MDP open house, the surveys that were done for the 2023 MDP, and I won't be supporting the third title on this quarter.
Councillor Graham.
I would echo the concerns about the size. I have that as well. I believe I voted against this one at first reading, and I didn't say why, and the size was why. I wasn't thinking fast enough when we voted. For me, I very much appreciate that you attempted to do the soil test and that you value a good relationship with your neighbors, because I agree that is essential. And I understand where you're coming from, that it makes more sense to have that bigger area in there, and it gives more people more opportunity. For me, though, I need to see the size smaller, and I think I would agree with what I'm hearing from everyone else, that we need a little more information on that well easement, just so we can understand it a little better. But if it was a smaller size and the well's not a concern, I would happily approve it, but just as it sits today, I won't be able to approve it.
Any further discussion? I know for myself, in what's provided, I would like some more clarity on the fact of how we can assure, as the bylaw that was just maybe given, that we are clear on that. And yes, I understand that could be done at MPC level, but I'm wondering if we should just postpone this decision until we got more information, and that's totally up to this council. So I would, before we go through that, and again, I understand the similar to what Councillor Graham has just mentioned, that sometimes the size looks great from a point of view of future farming practices that we don't know yet, but at the same token, water is one time, and if this particular, having the well and, like you say, the static level of, I want to call it more of an artesian well, maybe, if that's what it is, that we ensure that that's that is stabilized, and then with that. So, anyways, Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. Councillor Northcott, was that in the land use bylaw, or I'm trying to find it, and the only thing that I can find even close to that is the Nordegg Leisure District, subsection 11, that discusses potable water, because they're entirely on potable, like they're on water, they have to haul their water in and out. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm reading the right section to make sure. Okay, would you mind saying it, the
1133-22.
1133-22. Awesome, thank you. Supplementary.
Yes.
Is there an opportunity for us to amend down to the suggested 5.75, coming in alignment with the other, the first parcel out, and put a condition of ensuring water access?
Okay, I will.
Certainly was the intention to leave the easement on there, and I can guarantee that we would certainly accept that. I mean, that's a non-issue for us, for sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, with much discussion, would they like to make a second reading with conditions, or as is? Looking for Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. I can make a motion for second reading with the amendment to plus or minus, it'd be plus or minus 5.75 acres to come into alignment with the acreage to the north, with the provision to ensure continued water access to that existing acreage.
Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Looking for a motion for third reading? So, Councillor Lougheed, thank you. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor of third reading? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Would you? You bet. So in moving along, we have right into our next public hearing of 3:15. Which is agenda item 4.4. Is council good, or do we need a 5-minute? Oh.
Ms. Gillum is requesting a couple of minutes.
You would like it? We'll take a 5-minute break, please. Welcome back. We are now in our fourth public hearing, which I will call to order at 3:24. I will outline the process one more time. Oh, sorry. Tracy. Ms. Hay.
Just a point of order, the public hearing was advertised to start at 3:30.
Oh, okay, it says 3:15 on my paper.
Oh, 3:50, sorry, my mistake.
No worries. No worries. All right.
We always take you as gospel.
So I'll outline the process once more. Everyone present shall register. All persons wishing to speak shall be recognized by the chair. Every presenter, when told it's their turn, shall identify themselves and their organization, if any, and whether they are in favor or opposed of bylaw. If the presenter becomes repetitive, they may be limited by the chair. If a presenter or member of the audience becomes disrespectful, they may be asked to leave by the chair. No outside recording devices will be permitted. We ask that cell phones be turned off or put on silent. Breaks within the hearing should be called at the chairman's discretion. First, the development officer will explain the background. Then the applicant will be invited to outline the reasons for the application. At any time, the council members have the opportunity to ask questions. Any submissions received from other agencies will then be read. Then anyone present and whom is in favor of the application will be asked to submit his or her presentation. Following this, comments will be requested from anyone who is opposed to the application. The applicant will have the last word and thus respond to any issues previously raised. So before we go through the background, I would just like to know, do we need to make introductions? I think we all know each other. We will proceed into the background. Please, Ms. Gillum.
Okay. Good afternoon. So Clearwater County has an accepted offer to purchase from 1452982 Alberta Limited, who currently holds title to Plan 4142 AS Block 1, Lots 1 and 2, with containing 725 square meters or 0.18 acres of land. The subject land is currently designated Hamlet Commercial District, and the subject property is located within the hamlet of Leslieville. Clearwater County Public Works Infrastructure has made application to redesignate the existing parcel from Hamlet Commercial to Hamlet Residential. The existing parcel is bare, undeveloped land. Access to the parcel is obtained from First Avenue adjacent to the north property boundary and 3rd Street adjacent to the east property boundary. And the applicants are proposing to amend the land use bylaw to allow them to create a public open space within the hamlet of Leslieville and for the construction of a playground. And surrounding land uses in the area are mainly Hamlet Commercial and Hamlet Residential. And Eric is here to answer any of your questions regarding the application. And I have included a number of policies from the MDP relating to hamlets and the redesignation within lands as previously presented. The purpose of the district for Hamlet Residential is to permit and regulate residential developments, and listed uses are parks and public open space, playground and outdoor recreational uses. I've also included a number of policies from the Leslieville Area Structure Plan for review. And then, so the policy considerations, the redesignation of the proposed land is to allow for the development of a public park and playground. There's legal and physical access via First Avenue and 3rd Street. The proposed plan conforms to the discretionary uses listed in the land use bylaw for Hamlet Residential. The proposal complies with MDP policy 9.2.1, and then it will enhance the amenity and livability of the hamlet. Although the proposal does not fully comply with the Leslieville ASP, the intent is met. During the ASP process, land was mapped directly north of these lots for parks and open space. Clearwater County Public Works has worked to acquire the subject lands for that proposed use. 3.4.9C of the Leslieville ASP indicates that the current and future land uses within Leslieville should include public buildings and services to ensure a variety of services are offered to the community. Staff reviewed and considered the impacts on adjacent Hamlet Commercial and Hamlet Residential lots and feel that a development of this nature would only enhance the nature of the hamlet and create a central area for community connection. So recommendation at the regular council meeting held on September 12, 2023, council reviewed and gave first reading to amend bylaw 1165-23. As required by legislation, notice of today's public hearing was advertised in the local newspapers and comments were invited from adjacent landowners and referral agencies. Upon consideration of the representations made at the public hearing, council will consider whether or not to grant second and third readings to bylaw 1165-23. Thank you.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for the development officer? Seeing none, could Ms. Gillum present any comments received from the referral agencies, please?
TELUS has no objection, Fortis has no concerns, Public Works Infrastructure has no objection. Standard referral. Public Works Operations has no comments or concerns. Alberta Transportation gave their standard comments and they say, we thank you for the opportunity to respond. However, the property is outside the Highway Development Control Zone, and that does not, therefore, it does not, no land use redesignation referral is required. Sorry. The Municipal Planning Commission reviewed the application on September 20th, 2023. MPC recommends that council favorably consider granting second and third reading of the land use amendment application number 1823.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to speak to the proposal?
Sure, I guess just to familiarize the project again with council, of course, as Ms. Gillum identified, that we do have a accepted conditional offer to purchase on lots 1 and 2, also lots 3 and 4. The conditions being a favorable environmental assessment as well as the rezoning. The rezoning needs to support what the discussions we've had for the development plan for this property. Of course, that plan does include a small children's playground located to the density of the residential area. We do feel that it's complementary to the residential area as well as the commercial core, enhancing its current use. It's been used primarily for community events on this property, and recognizing that and the need for a children's playground, we're looking forward to bringing to council a proposal budget 2024 that would include capital dollars allocated to the construction of this playground as well as public space. And then the visioning would commence early 2024, which would be led by the Community and Ag Services to really engage with the business owners, the residential property owners in the area to see, how can we maximize and utilize this area to support the community and enhance the features that it creates. The property was for sale for quite a long time. It's been for sale for numerous years. We weren't beating anybody to the punch when it comes to sales, so I think it lends itself to a perfect location for a development of this nature. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Thank you. Now invite any members of the public to speak in favor of the application. An echo over there. Is there any written submissions in favor of the request?
There was no, there was one. My bad. One written submission was submitted providing support to the redesignation from Jeff Bradshaw. My apologies.
Okay, thank you. And now I would invite any member of the public wishing to speak in opposition of the application. Again, moving on, has there been any submissions of any written, has there been any written submissions opposing the request?
We did receive one later yesterday, so I'll read it out to you because I have not provided it to you. It says, I, Thomas Little of Little Toy Factory, located at on 117 3rd Street in Leslieville. I strongly oppose the proposed changes to Plan 4142 AS Block 1, Lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. Especially after we just had a future development plan created, of which I was a part, and wanted this space to continue to be a commercial area. The community in general wanted to see business growth on this street. We, being the only year-round business, find this incredibly concerning. We not only are concerned about not being made previously aware of bylaw 1165 before reading it in the paper, as we were not given a formal letter of intent, but now received a letter for bylaw 1170-23. We, being the main business on the street, have had numerous people come in and ask about a place to set up a business in town or inquire about the two adjacent buildings to the north for potential businesses, or if there will be new businesses there. Given the huge recent investments in our community with a brand new high school, huge fully equipped fire hall with staging and training facilities, not to mention several baseball fields, skating rink, and newly built playground area, large and active community center, Elks Lodge, and the events, tournaments, parties, weddings, celebrations that they hold. We find it short-sighted to remove commercial space. We have a lack of developed commercial space for small businesses, not an abundance of spaces. Leslieville must use its strong and rooted history of small businesses on this street to help our community continue to stand the test of time and give us the opportunity to grow. Since its first business in 1909, there are many stories of people moving here and starting a business on this very street. Fires destroyed some, and yet they rebuilt. The Great Depression brought think beaners here for new opportunities and to start over, in the process turning our building into a hardware store. We have even created an award called the Pioneer Award at David Thompson High School for entrepreneurial spirit and self-reliance. That is how much we believe in the community and the people it brings and nurtures. If this proposal goes forward and the area is rezoned, it will be a nail and perhaps final in the coffin of any new business starting in town. Do not allow this to happen. We fear the use of calling it a public open space and playground is the ruse to its real intention. The intention is, once the classification happens, who is to say in 6 months or a year it is not sold and homes are placed there. This will be the death of ever having a Main Street again. And that's the only comment received.
All right, thank you. Any final remarks? Oh, sorry, I'll just wait and let Councillor Graham.
Sorry, I just have a question.
Yeah.
Adjacent landowners, do they not receive a letter during this process?
Yeah, do you have that?
Oh, it went away. It's like, no, not allowed. Yes, but adjacent landowners means directly adjacent, including across the road. The Little Toy Factory, I believe is this building here, so it's not technically adjacent to this property. So they likely wouldn't have received the referral for this, but that's why we also put it in the paper, and that's why they would have received the referral for this one recently, because it's more directly adjacent to their property. So that's why they wouldn't have received the first one, because the MJ requires adjacent landowners, which means like basically essentially directly touching the property. So that's why he wouldn't have got the first one, but would have got the second one.
That's a little crazy.
Yeah.
It's because it will, like, it directly impacts them, I would say. So it's.
And that's why we put it in the paper as well. Yeah. But yeah, we just, that's the requirements per the MJ is to send it to adjacent landowners, which means property that touches the property or like would be considered touching the property if a road didn't exist. So
Okay, thank you.
That's generally what we do. Thank you.
Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you. Just confirming, this has been for sale for how many years again? Sorry? Been available for purchase for commercial property for
Multiple years.
Multiple years. So there was extended time frame in which a business could move in. I have heard nothing but positive to the plans for this. My concerns originally when we were moving it to Hamlet Residential were assuaded by the team when it was explained that it gives us some more flexibility in that green space. Because originally I was concerned that it wasn't just turning to rec as well. So I think that we can easily assuage some of those concerns, and I believe that we will do what we are saying that we will do, and it will be a green space in the community.
Councillor Lougheed.
Yeah, from my recollection, when that was the Leslieville Mercantile, it was there quite a number of years, and it actually remained vacant for a number of years and then was eventually moved to the antique grounds, and that was probably 15 years ago or more. So I think that property has been vacant for many, many years, and I think repurposing it to this really fits within our overall concept of what a good community has in it, and I think a playground will be, if anything, an attraction to further business development within that hamlet. So I will support this process.
Any further comment? Okay. Oh, yes.
Make one note. Obviously, it's council's desire and infrastructure to provide a playground there. But we do have in the land use bylaw, you know, he mentioned like if the county would not intend to sell this property I mean, and even if we did, we have in our bylaw that if it doesn't proceed for the intent, that council can rezone it back to its previous use, and we could put it back to commercial, and then we could sell it back to the community for commercial for development if we didn't proceed with the park. But that's obviously not the intent, so.
Thank you for that. Do you have any further? No? You're late. Oh, there you go. Is there any further comments from council? If not, I will close the hearing then at 3:39. No motions entertained at this time. Then moving right along to 5.4, consideration for second and third readings for bylaw 1165-23. Back to you, Ms. Gillum.
Thank you. Again, a repeat of before, upon consideration of the representations made at the public hearing, administration requests that council consider granting second and third readings to bylaw 1165-23 for application 1823 for the purpose of amending the land use bylaw to redesignate 0.18 acres of land being 4142 AS Block 1, Lots 1 and 2 from the Hamlet Commercial District to the Hamlet Residential District.
Thank you. Now looking for any council discussion or motions for second and third reading. Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. This, to me, seems fabulous. I'm very excited about this, and I know that we will assuage any of the community's concerns going forward, as we always do our best to do so, and I will make the motion for second reading.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Graham.
I've been super excited for this project. It's too bad that we got the letter from Mr. Little being opposed to it, because I thought it would complement his business really well, and it kind of takes the wind out of my sails a little bit for this project, but I understand his concerns absolutely. I do think this will be wonderful for the community. It's, you know, I see the posts on Facebook from the old Post where they're like, come and bring your kids to dig in the sand money thing and relax a little, and it'll, you know, it just fits so well with that as well. And it's just too bad. I wish I would have had time to reach out to Mr. Little prior to this meeting, and I knew he was opposed to it prior to this, so we could have had a conversation. But I will be supporting this still. I do think it's going to be great for the community, and I do think it will complement the businesses there very well. And yes, I will be supporting Deputy Reeve Lougheed's motion.
Thank you. Councillor Lougheed.
And I certainly will be supporting the motion made by Deputy Reeve Lougheed. I did hear the concerns of the letter that was brought to us, and we have no full control of the future and what that may be, but we do know this lot has been vacant for a very long time. I like to see development and new things happening in a community. I think this will be a worthwhile addition. And then anything that the county may do in the future will be done in an open and transparent fashion, as are all our public use or land use amendments. So I hope that helps dispel some of the fears that were voiced. So I will be supporting the second reading.
Thank you. Councillor Northcott.
I'll support it as well. The original intent was for the smaller children so that they didn't have to go all the way over to the Leslieville School and travel so far. So this does offer a playground for the little ones to play at. And in the future, I mean, playground could always be removed again, if, you know, and then rezone back to commercial for businesses on Main Street. So I'll support it.
Thank you. I know for myself, yes, I agree with the concept on how we're going. There's nothing to say that this is not only going to be a complement to the block party that they have in the summer as well, for their the foot traffic in that area as well, and always can have the pop-up markets if the, you know, the Post would like to do it. I think it's an opportunity to, you know, we see, you know, a lemonade stand or something like that, you know, that can be off the side of the sidewalk there and in the summertime. So I will be supporting second reading. If there's no further discussion, I will call the question. All those in favor of second reading? It's carried. Motion for third. Councillor Graham?
I would make a motion to grant third reading.
Thank you. Councillor Ratcliffe?
Yes, as we're trying to develop hamlets as well as rural subdivisions, adding these amenities are critical to attracting more people and kind of rejuvenation of some of those buildings in that neighborhood. So I'll support third reading.
Thank you. If there's no more discussion, I will call the question. All those in favor of third reading? That's carried. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Awesome. Carrying on in the agenda, we were at the verbal council reports, and I'm going to pick up with Division 3.
Very much, Reeve Swanson. Maybe I'll just start out on a bit of a personal note, and I will congratulate you on assuming the role of Reeve. I think you will bring your immense skill set to bear and further develop our community service model. And you have my full support in that endeavor. I'd also like to thank council for their support over the last 24 months. We've had quite a journey together, and I appreciate the support you've given me over those months, and even more so, the ability for me to grow as a human, grow as a person, and grow in my skill set, and really to further my community service. I always remember that, and thank you very much for that. And I also want to extend that to administration and staff. They've been very supportive. There's been many challenging moments, and your support has been key in getting through those moments and finding solutions to barriers that were directly before us. So I will remember that always too. So thank you for that. As far as I think activities over the last couple of weeks, I think many of us attended those. It was great to finally open the Tauntaun Bridge and see that wonderful facility, officially open. It's been there for a while, but we want to make sure that the public knows well about what is out there, and it's truly a beautiful site for all seasons, and it is truly a hidden gem too. So please take your time and get out there and see that as well. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that for now and pass the talking stick along.
Very good. I'll pass along to Division 4.
Thank you. I did attend, just about most of the activities that the fellow councillors attended as well. But I also, one thing that was unique was the Caroline Library Board. Fantastic. The library there, they do a lot in the community. But one thing that's happened is, and even just in the community there's been a few residents with, I don't know if it's a slight increase in crime, but between vehicles being stolen and maybe sometimes there's unwanted patrons that will enter public buildings or public facilities such as libraries. So yeah, maybe just an awareness to watch your vehicles and property. It's that some people have had their trucks stolen. That's all for my report.
All right, thank you. I will pass along to Division 5.
Thank you, Reeve. I think that the events I've been to have been covered adequately already. I want to express my appreciation to staff for arranging it quickly, and for all of council for attending the Tauntaun Bridge opening, another hidden gem in Division 5. I want to pass on some comments that the Premier made addressing the AB Munis convention here several weeks ago, and that was around the need for more housing and urging municipalities to fast-track approvals, to speed up approvals, to minimize red tape, and also accenting that secondary suites are one of the most effective, lowest cost solutions we can do quickly. And I will pass on from there.
Thank you very much. Questions? Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. Not a question, but I was able to catch some federal speeches recently as well, and to the point where they are considering actually restricting municipalities' funding for those municipalities that don't make way for more development and don't allow for more housing, et cetera. So it's definitely a push provincially and federally. So that's gonna be a challenge going forward for rural communities. Hopefully it doesn't impact rural funding.
That was something that may have been mentioned in the van on the way out, is that the province may be attaching conditions to some grants that more housing be provided. So it's absolutely something that we need to be on to.
Good. Questions? Okay, Councillor Northcott.
Yeah, just I think everybody's aware Alberta has one of the most rapid population growths in all of Canada. But is it a shortage of housing, or is it too many people? Is it a housing crisis, or are we overpopulated in some ways for the infrastructure we have, even in regards to for the medical system, for the wait times for MRIs, long response times for EMS, housing? Just a question I wanted to throw out there.
All right, thank you. Division 6.
Okay, thanks. I first want to start off with the amalgamation workshop that Tracy Lynn put on for us. I thought that was very well done. Great results. I did not expect our two councils to be able to look so much alike and move forward. I am so excited about this amalgamation going forward and helping this community to thrive. It is just such a great feeling. Thanks you, Tracy Lynn. It was great to bring us together. And then last week I attended 13 Ways in Jasper. It was presented by Doug Griffiths, and the whole 4 days we were there, 3 days we were there, was around cooperation and collaboration between communities and municipal players. And during the whole week, we are missing out on so much in Alberta that we don't cooperate as much as we could. He's a fantastic speaker. If anybody gets to listen to Doug Griffiths, it's mind-boggling how he can get your mind thinking and going in the direction that it should be going. And he had a number of creative speakers there. The one I was really impressed, well, there was two that I was really impressed with, was Jenny Adams. She is, her whole theme was, everything is changing. Why is no one listening? It hit the nail on the head. Like, nobody's listening to the changes that's going on in this world. She said we need to keep our ear to the ground. Listen to the people around you, what they're saying, and take action on it's great information that they're giving to us. And then the other one that I listened to that I was really impressed with, and I think we should look into it, was Andrew Unick.
Bless you.
He's all about no, not carbon. Hydrogen. Energy. If we can't get a gas line out to Nordic, why don't we put a hydrogen up there? You can get appliances that burn hydrogen and work and all and everything. You can even get a unit. It's kind of like a gas plant sort of thing that converts electricity and air into hydrogen. You can get furnaces, you can get coolers, everything can run on it. And it's green. And the other thing he said is we don't need to just single out one source of energy. We need to look at them all. Because to move ahead, we need to use them all. I wish the rest of the council would have came there. It was so mind-blowing to me anyway. I think Michelle was the same. It was just amazing. I can't say enough about it, but we'll get on to another topic. The campsites are closed out at Caroline and the Cowboy Trail. We had a fantastic year. It was filled up most of the time. I think it's the first time in about 6 years that I've been involved with the Ag Society that we actually made money. Whoa. And my last comment is that I would really like to thank Reeve Lougheed for his 24 months of service. You did a fantastic, you did a fantastic job. Don't let anybody say anything different. You are amazing, Reeve. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm shut up now.
You're shut up? Okay. Okay. All right, questions then, Councillor Ratcliffe, or comments?
I have a comment. I think that there are people in this room who do have their ears largely to the ground and seeing change coming, and that we look forward to working together to capture some of those for our community.
Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you, Reeve. My question is actually around that hydrogen. Pipe's not in the ground yet. So we can still make a shift.
He said there is money out there from the government for clean, green. Is it green energy? And if you make hydrogen out of natural gas, that's blue energy. You still have a carbon footprint, but not with green energy. You don't. You need power, electricity. We've got it out there. We've got a bighorn dam.
That's an interesting prospect and potentially one to
And Daniel Smith is really pushing it.
dig further into.
Yeah.
Perhaps a notice of motion
Andrew.
coming from Division 6 in the future for looking deeper into that.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Guess if there's no one else, I'll just quickly run into mine. October 4th, Central Region for ASHA had their zone meeting. I was appointed a 2-year term as a central director for ASHA. Of course, going over all the new, an undergoing of lodge review and all the different grants that are coming out, and assistance for more assistance for continuing care, and more grants are being offered for continuing care, so that's an ever revolving needle. I attended the Healthy Aging Conference from December 10th to the 13th. I will say that was probably the best conference I've ever gone to. It was the first one in Alberta. They had over 50 different speakers. Thank goodness they recorded it, because I need to go back and listen to the speakers that I couldn't get to. So I would gladly share comments of live your best life for seniors. It was very focused around seniors. Believe it or not, we have an ageism, which is a discrimination globally, because we shouldn't say I'm having a senior moment, or in that sense. So we discriminate against seniors quite often in our comments, and we don't realize that we're doing it. So that was very interesting perspective. The best, or one of the keynote speakers was a fellow named by Sean Loney. He's got multiple books, and I managed to grab them. He specializes in what's called social enterprises. So it's not a nonprofit and it's not a for-profit. And it assists groups to let the government become a customer and not a payer. So with that, it was very interesting. There wasn't enough time to talk to him and ask questions, and I'm just saying things to pique your interest right now, and I'd be happy to share the books if you'd like to once I get through them. 6% of older Canadians use public transportation. That was a very interesting statistic to me, because transportation does impede a lot of our seniors getting to the services that they need. 61% live in an urban setting. We have gaps. We don't need patchwork solutions. And we have some siloed communities. They did talk a little bit about a land trust, and looking more to, there's been some videos and stuff like that that I've researched since I've come home, and I think that's an interesting concept where the government or the group, the community group owns the property, and then it helps to develop affordable housing, etc. The other keynote was Cormac Russell from Scotland. He said, we need to identify and build on what's strong, not what's wrong, and appreciate what we have. And only by the speed of trust is moving us to our preferred future. I thought that was a great line. On the 16th, I attended a roundtable with Jason Nixon and a multiple, I think there was 42 stakeholders. I was on behalf of the Rocky Senior Housing Council. Basically, it was an informal Q&A. All the stakeholders that wanted to ask questions to Minister Nixon had the opportunity to do that. Some of it applied to us, some of it didn't. Again, housing was a big topic on that, and it was identified that it is a red tape problem as far as zoning, and there is a NIMBYism that needs to be nullified. That was specifically coming out of the minister's insight. 13 Ways Leadership, yes, as Councillor Cermak has identified, it was a very good thing. My key takeaway too was from Heather's Thompson's sister. She did a presentation in regards to Indigenous. She's a lawyer in Vancouver, and she said, duty to consult. She said, it can start as quick as a cup of coffee.
Sorry, I'm
So,
just killing
no
bugs
worries.
over here.
Killing bugs, there you go. Nope, and that was good. The other was interesting thing, Pranita McBrien, she's from the downtown stakeholders of Edmonton businesses. And what they do a lot is they do a walk with elected officials to see the businesses. So they talk about, so I'm thinking about our opportunity. We went to Norde to speak with the tourism businesses. So our opportunity to go speak to the local businesses in our county to see what's right, what's wrong, where's their challenges, and assist with that. So I thought that was a really good key takeaway. Yeah, that was a big week, and I was glad to come home and try and digest all that. So that'll be the end of my councillor report for today. So, but anyways, any other comments, questions? No? Thank you again, Reeve Lougheed. You've been an excellent role model for all of us, so we're looking forward to continued support, and we know that you are the journey continues. You betcha. Sure. Councillor Lougheed, motions, council verbal reports. All those in favor? Carried. Councillor remuneration. Any comments? If anything, motion to accept councillor remuneration. Councillor Graham? I'll ask the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Correspondence, 2 letters. We have one from Minister Nixon regarding the MSI funding, and a thank you letter from the Caroline Cowboy Music Poetry Society. Any comments from the correspondence? I like all the numbers. Do you like all the numbers in that one? Yes.
That was a typo for a second.
Yeah, there was, yeah, exactly. Fairly good.
I know it won't go that far.
Very good. Councillor Northcott?
I do have a question for Mr. Emmons, if just a refresher on how MSI funding or Municipal Sustainability Initiative, how is that calculated by the Alberta government? If I'm putting you on the spot, a little bit there, but.
MSI is typically calculated, they look at population, they look at road infrastructure, so they do look at responsibilities and divvied out. It's divided up amongst all the municipalities in Alberta, but it does hinge on resources, your infrastructure, bridges,
Thank you. Can I add a little bit more too?
Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you. I guess I was just curious. I know that there seems to be a continuing trend for funding to go to our neighboring municipality of Rocky Mountain House for funding on multiple items, but I was just wondering what the impact of all the, when you look at the Clearwater County map of all the multi-lot subdivisions and what the impact has been on that, like the impact of the urban municipality of Rocky Mountain House and Carolina. Thank you.
And as we all know that the MSI is ending in 2024, and we will have a new funding model called the LGFF, and that will be coming into system. And I would imagine at the next RMA conference, we may be hearing more about that at that particular point in time, so thank you. Motion to accept the correspondence for information. Deputy Reeve Lougheed?
I actually had a question
Oh,
regarding
sorry.
it. Sorry,
Very
that's
good.
fine. Do we have an idea of what our average has been previously? Because I too had to read it a couple of times. Do we know what our normal MSI allotment or, 'cause like I said, I had to read it a couple of times as well because I was pleased. Do we have a kind of an average of what we've previously been allotted?
I don't, Deputy Reeve. It
Okay.
does vary from year to year.
Okay. Just based on asset management going
It
forward?
does,
Okay.
and even projects, because they've combined so many different programs with it over the years. Back in the day, MSI was simply MSI.
Yeah.
Over the years, they've taken the bridge funding, which formerly was called GAP, amalgamated it into MSI.
Gas tax and all that.
It's gone through many different revisions, so it does vary.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Excellent. So motion to accept correspondence. Okay, Councillor Northcott. All those in favor? Carried. Notice of motion. Any notice of motions? Seeing none, going into closed session. If I could have a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Lougheed. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. welcome back. We are now out of our closed session, and we have motions coming out of closed session. If I could have a couple of the motions, please. Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
The council allocates $250,000 in the 2024 Ag and Community Services Operations Budget to be paid to the Town of Rocky Mountain House for the Rocky Mountain Bike Park Project, subject to the successful CFIP grant application.
Thank you. Any discussion? See none. All those in favor? Thank you. Second, another motion, I believe. Councillor Graham?
I didn't press the button, but I'll make the motion. That council defers any decisions regarding funding the long-term operating costs until such time as the Town of Rocky Mountain House and Clearwater County negotiate a new recreation agreement.
Thank you. Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Looking on the, yes, Deputy Reeve Lougheed.
Thank you, Reeve. That Clearwater County Council requests that the town and county ICC, or that requests that council ICC members go to the town and get clarification on bike park location.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Carried. See nothing further. I would now like to move to item 13, item of adjournment. Councillor
Motion for
Northcott.
adjournment.
Awesome. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you at the next council meeting on November, I believe it's the 12th.